Ross Tweddle, Fraser Porter here from a London that is windier than your granny's panties the day after Christmas. All those Brussels sprouts, so much wind. We've got the wrestling news from Money in the Bank weekend, and if you can't tell, I might still be a bit drunk. We have big news on what the main event match might be tonight, Fraser, and it's not what you might expect.
And many people, I assume, would expect it to be the Money in the Bank match, the World Heavyweight Championship match, Roman Reigns and the Bloodline. But no, Worked Wrestling on Twitter is reporting that instead it's going to be Cody Rhodes and Dominic.
Now, I was saying for a long time this should be the main event in jest, just because it's Dom in the UK. He's going to get booed out the country. Cody Rhodes is an American hero. He loves Newcastle upon Tyne. It's his holiday home in the summer every single year. It would be a funny main event just because of the crowd interaction, but I can't believe it's a thing unless someone might be coming back at the end of the show.
So yesterday it was reported that Brock Lesnar would be making his way back to WWE. Worked Wrestling reporting that. We covered it on the news yesterday. So it could be a case that it's to set up an angle with Cody Rhodes at the end of the show. Having Cody in that main event spot obviously would allow that to be the last thing that everyone sees. It's strange when you've got Reigns and the Bloodline versus the Usos, or the Reigns and Solo versus the Usos. You would think, well, that's the biggest story right now, not Cody and Dom.
Cody and Dom's a fair storyline, that the promos on Raw speaking about Dr. Zeus and all that. Not Dr. Zeus, Dr. What's he called? Not Doctor Who. Is it Dr. Zeus?
Dr. Zeus.
The Cat in the Hat fella.
Yeah,
that's the one. They've all been fun, but it's not the pinnacle of the company, is it? So seeing that in the main event slot is a little bit weird. Someone who we think could return but might not return is Big Daddy Drew McIntyre. We have news from PW Insider about his status around this Money in the Bank weekend, Fraser.
They do indeed. So yesterday, PW Insider came out with a report saying that he is not currently on the UK tour, and he is not flown over with the rest of the tour. But they've since given an update, and they're saying that we were told it will come down to creative choices if he will be at Money in the Bank. They haven't heard anything that he's been seen in London, where WWE is staying, which is just close by to us right now.
At the bloody Marriott?
Believe so.
Up the Marriott.
Up the Marriott. But if he was hiding, it would make sense for him to be in Scotland currently with his family and then come in late to the show. It'd be one of the biggest names to be on the whole show. It's the UK, and he's not currently scheduled to be there. So hopefully he will be.
Yeah. It'll be a weird whatever happens, just because he is obviously a home-ish town boy here in London, because, Scotland's just a five-minute walk up the road,
small
really.
mining countries north of London.
But from what we've been reading, maybe a heel Drew McIntyre could be the one who comes back, but that surely wouldn't happen with a big return pop in the UK, you would think.
You would think so. I mean, it would be one way to do it, have him turn heel in his home country. I think, for me, him coming back, it makes sense to put him in the Money in the Bank ladder match. We've got 7 people in there just now, and adding one more to make it 8 would just sort of round that out, make it a bit nice. You'd get the big hometown pop, and maybe turn him heel like next week if he does come back tonight. But as of right now, he is not in London. We've not spotted him. We might go on a Drew McIntyre hunt later on. We might see him. We might not.
You do that yourself, you weirdo. I'll leave him alone. Now, we have an update on the crossover between NXT and the WWE. There's been more sort of synergy between the brands. A gimmick that started in NXT. You look at the witches for a recent example going to SmackDown. They've kept their witchiness of the Witch and the Dragon, Isla Dawn and Alba Fire. But there's been more updates about this sort of working relationship between the two promotions, if you want to call them that, Fraser.
Yeah, so as you said, we've seen lots of crossover. Baron Corbin recently on this week's past
the
NXT,
best work of his career, Fraser.
It genuinely was really
him and
great
Mello.
match.
I'm not even joking. I know we say a lot about NXT on this channel, but him and Mello going backwards and forwards about money and just big dick swinging energy. That's what we're here for in the wrestling. And their match was Corbin's best of his career.
It genuinely
this
was.
Past Wednesday.
It was one of the absolute
Tuesday.
highlights of this week's wrestling. But the Wrestling Observer newsletter is saying that the plan right now is to feature more NXT talent on Raw and SmackDown, and then also feature more main roster talent on NXT. This is to sort of try and get a larger audience for NXT, increase that viewership, specifically around the bigger shows, your stuff like your Gold Rush, your Battlegrounds. We'll try and see some main roster talents on those ones. And the idea is to sort of make NXT that bit more unpredictable. You never know who's going to show up, so you kind of have to buy tickets to the show. We've heard rumours for a while that Nick Khan is wanting to turn it into a third brand once again. They want to go touring, they want to get into bigger venues. Main roster talent's the way to do it.
Big time, and the precedent has now been set with the World Heavyweight Champion himself, Seth Rollins, being on NXT last week against Bron Breakker. So if he's going down, there's no excuse for nobody else to go down.
I mean, the biggest one would be Roman Reigns to make an appearance.
That'll never happen, Fraser.
It'll never happen, but you can't write it off if they really want to get the audience.
If he does, we should be allowed to throw Fraser in the Thames. Is that the Thames?
If it doesn't
Up
happen,
the Thames.
If it doesn't happen by this time next year, I'll be in the Thames.
You'll be in the. It's on camera. I can't wait.
But yeah, the idea is to make it more unpredictable and use talents on the main roster who aren't doing anything just now. They've not got any plans for them. Put them in NXT for a little spell, and then you can get a little character resurgence for them too.
And that's a good thing to do as well, rather than having them just sitting there spinning their wheels on the sidelines. Have someone like Baron Corbin, who wasn't being used on the main roster at all, going down and doing the best work of his career in NXT. I'm saying that once again because it's true.
It was really good, right?
It was really good.
I mean, we both were big fans of Baron Corbin. He's one of the most underrated people. And
of course he is.
And he came back with the Lone Wolf.
Yes,
Oh,
the big old theme.
The best gimmick.
Up the Wolves.
Oh, the best gimmick. Is it the best gimmick ever? No. It's great for Baron Corbin, though.
No, it's Corbin's second best gimmick
yes,
ever. Bum-ass is where it's
Corbin
at.
Was great.
Anyway, last night myself and Fraser and Dan behind the camera there were sat together, lovely holding hands. We had a great time at SmackDown. It was a decent show, I thought. It was lovely to be there live. The crowd were on it. The pop for LA Knight was a bona fide LA Knight pop. Yeah. Interview with him and Bailey and Zelina Vega.
Santos Escobar, many talents.
Pretty deadly as well. All
Yes,
coming to the
boy.
channel next week. They were all lovely to us. But after SmackDown last night, there were some things that happened that you at home would not have seen.
You wouldn't have seen it. Well, we had two dark matches following SmackDown. The first taking place was AJ Styles versus Karrion Kross. It was a little preview of the match that they announced that will be taking place next week on SmackDown in Madison Square Garden. AJ Styles won this one with a phenomenal forearm to Karrion Kross. And then we had, earlier in the night, during an advert break, it was advertised we'd have Austin Theory against Sheamus in the dark match.
So Austin Theory, who'd early in the night, of course, won via a drop kick. Yep. It looks like his somersault or forward roll drop kick thingy, easy for me to say, is going to be a finisher because he got Ridge the Fridge in the neck. Fridges have necks.
Yeah, apparently it was a very strange finish. It did feel a little bit weird. The sort of crowd didn't know how to react to it.
Well, who loses to a drop kick?
Yeah, I guess he was attacked by Solo last week is my only thinking. Maybe
it's weakened his neck.
It's weakened his neck.
Oh, yes.
I don't know. I'm trying to find some reasoning there. But yeah, so Austin Theory came out at the end of the show and was like, I'm not done. I want to have another match, and I'm going to embarrass the legend that is Rey Mysterio. Rey was already down in the ring.
But he embarrassed himself, though, Fraser.
He did embarrass himself.
Because he's like, oh, look at this guy over here in the crowd. He must work at Walmart or something. Do some research, Austin Theory. We don't have Walmarts over here.
That's
so he works at Netto, Poundland, Pound Stretcher.
Great value, though.
The other one, I can't remember the name of.
Home Bargains.
No, that's a lovely establishment.
Like
don't
great
slam
candles,
Home Bargains.
Great candles in Home Bargains.
£3, it's a wonderful deal.
But it was meant to be Sheamus. We're not sure why he was replaced in the dark match.
He did do a run-in during the show itself, so maybe there's a little tweak of an injury there, potentially, because he did run down the ramp at a hell of a rate of knots.
It was some pace,
We're just speculating
right?
here, though, but it was weird to see him announce and then not appear at the end.
But following the match, Rey Mysterio took to the microphone, to send the crowd home happy. Austin Theory walking back up the ramp with his US title in hand, and Rey Mysterio calls him what, Ross?
A wanker.
A wanker.
Austin is a wanker. Austin is a wanker. Nah. That's basically what we were doing. He said wanker so many times. I can't believe how many times he said wanker.
It's not something you ever expect Rey Mysterio to ever say.
But it's wonderful to hear him say.
It was incredible. The crowd was loving it. They did really enjoy chanting
really
along with it. And that was sort of what happened after SmackDown. Earlier in the night, we saw bits in the advert break where, like, Kevin Owens walked back up the ramp. He looked a bit limping, a little bit slightly, but we're not sure if it's a genuine injury.
Because we were thinking it was real because obviously we can't hear the commentary, so we don't know if it's been made into a storyline by Michael Cole and Wade Barrett. But the fact it was very innocuous the way it went down. He obviously took his kick pad off, I think, or his boot, whatever, but then he got back in the ring and finished the match. Sold it a bit more, but crucially, which I think was the giveaway telltale sign, there was no trainers around Kevin Owens, so the fact that there was no trainers, I don't think it's a real one.
But sadly, to end the news today, we do have some news on the passing of Darren Drost. We got the news from PW Insider last night, and then it was confirmed just ahead of SmackDown via a graphic on the Tron that he has sadly passed away at the age of 54. He had a big name in the Attitude Era. Unfortunately, his career was cut short due to an injury in a match with D'Lo Brown, but he's probably most well known from his appearance in Beyond the Mat, the documentary. Yeah,
they always say if you're a wrestler working for Vince McMahon, don't say a little talent that you might have in the sidelines, because then Vince McMahon will try and make it into a gimmick, and that's what Droz did when he says, I can puke on command. So, of course, Vince McMahon tried to make him puke on command. He's going to puke. We've all seen the iconic scenes from that little sort of creative meeting, I guess you'll call it. But from there, he went and did some stuff with the Legion of Doom and the shoulder pads and whatnot. And then he went on from there and I recognise him most from the Attitude Game itself with the picture with the tongue out. sort of like the grungy shorts, I
Grungy
guess you call
shorts,
it, yeah.
yeah.
But obviously his career was cut heartbreakingly short in that match with D'Lo Brown, as Fraser said. But every time you saw him in sort of content the company would do with him, and years later in his wheelchair and whatnot, a horrible situation to find yourself in, he would always have a smile on his face.
He's always
wouldn't he?
very positive
So
following his injury. Yeah.
it was obviously sad to hear the news yesterday that he died at natural causes at the age of 54. So obviously thoughts are with his friends and family at this time. As for us, we'll have more content from this Money in the Bank weekend. We'll have a second news video coming up today. Then after the pay-per-view itself tonight, what happened at with Jack the Jobber WTF will be live on Monday or Tuesday, whenever we get back up north. Anything from you there, can you think of?
Just keep an eye on the channel. We've got lots and lots of stuff. And if you see us at Money in the Bank this afternoon and this evening, make sure you say hello.
Because you're going to be on some shorts content if you fancy it. Ho, 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 ho. I've been Ross, joined by Fraser, and we'll see you very soon.